Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here in the Fuzzy Biker Garage. That right there is my hot rod Royal Enfield Himalayan. It has over 40,000 miles on it now. I thought I'd do a little video about that. I'm going to try to focus on the motorcycle itself, not the trips, not the accessories, things like that. We'll talk about accessories maybe a little bit at the end. But so the bike, we'll start with, it's got 40,572 miles on it. That's over 65,000 kilometers. Average fuel mileage has been 48 to 78, I would say. 78 is very high, 48 would probably be in the low end. Most of the time, like in our Canada trip, I think I got 62 miles a gallon average until I got back into the States when I hit the interstates. But so what is it? Well, the Royal Enfield Himalayan is a ADV bike made by, obviously, Royal Enfield. It's 452 cc's, single cylinder, liquid cooled, dual overhead cam, very dirty right now because my bikes are always dirty. 4-valve. Produces about 40 horsepower, about 30 foot-pounds of torque. That is about 40 Newton meters. Has a beautiful 6-speed transmission. Running to the front, it's got this upside-down fork system with a 43 millimeter tube. 8 inches of travel here, about 200 millimeters. The big deal is the 21-inch front tire. It's a 21-inch front tire. It's a 2190/90, I believe. We put tubeless rims on this particular motorcycle. The brake is a 320 millimeter disc with a dual piston bi-brake caliper. The rear suspension is about 8 inches also, again 200 millimeters. It's a monoshock. Where the old bike had the link down here where it was susceptible to damage, this has the link up here, so it's very smooth on the bottom and you have the center stand up. Very good design. 17-inch back tire. I think it's this is a 150. I think it came with a 140, so we upgraded to a 150 size-wise. Rear disc is a 270 with a single piston bi-brake caliper. Wheelbase is 59.5 inches or 59.4 inches, something like that. I'll put the millimeters down below. Weight of the bike is 430 pounds. That is about 195 kilograms. That's with a full tank of fuel. The fuel capacity is 4.5 gallons, which I think is about 16 or 17 liters. I'll put that down below too. Seat height in stock form with the seat in low position, 32.5 inches, which is 845 millimeters, I believe. And then if you put it in the high position, it's 33 1/3, which I believe is 865 millimeters. Now I've got mine in the high position. I've also added this thing to it that might raise it just a little bit, maybe another 1/4 inch or so. I like it. It's a very comfortable motorcycle, very comfortable indeed. Ground clearance is 220 millimeters, and I think that is about 9 inches, so plenty of ground clearance. I've never bottomed it out that I know of anyway. I have done some really rough roads with that, and maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. The forks are Shoei, the front forks, Showa, and the rear is also Showa. That's a Showa shock on the rear. The bike is chain drive. There it is, and 40,000 miles. I put about 4 chains on it. A lot of grease there because I oil my chain daily. This is a brand new chain. We just put that on. There's the shifter for the transmission, of course. I know, why don't I wash my bikes? Well, I'd rather be riding them. How's that sound? Up here is the what I call the Oculus. This is the gauge right here. I think it's about 5 inches wide. It's a TFT. It can be this color, dark. If it gets light out, it turns white. Tachometer on the outside. Gear indicator in the center. Miles per hour over here. Clock on the top. Ambient temperature. Odometer right over here. Using this joystick over here, you can get trip 1, trip 2, fuel range, consumption, voltage, service. That is not true. I just haven't cleared it yet. And engine temperature. Another neat thing this does, if you push this button over here, if you just hold it in for about 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it does that. Now, why would you want it to do that? The reason is this area up here will turn into a nav. You'll get turn-by-turn directions plus a map, and you can zoom in and out on that map by using your joystick. Pretty cool, huh? Again, to change that back, you go over here to this button, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back to normal it goes. Wahoo, right? So let's talk about the engine. It says stock there. The engine of my bike is stock, except for the air filter. I put a DNA air filter in it. I've got the stock pipe. The catalytic converter is still on there. I haven't done anything like with cams, or I don't even know if that's available. Fuel X, any of that stuff. It's all absolutely stock. The reason I did that, or left it that way, is I've been very happy with it. It seems to have plenty of power for what I do. It gets good mileage. It's very efficient and works very well. You know, it's got a fly-by-wire throttle, and it's very responsive. I'm very happy with what it is for the kind of riding I do. So I've left that totally alone. Next thing would be the transmission. The transmission is a 6-speed transmission. And what I've got to say about that is it's a very capable transmission, and it works in a very wide range. You know, this bike does everything from BDRs to, you know, we took it up to Alaska to the Arctic Circle, the very rough roads. I've done interstate, I've done an iron butt on this. I've been to 46 states so far out of the 49 that I can drive to in America. And I just put these stickers on over here from Maine all the way down to Florida, California, all the way up to Alaska. So, you know, I've done pretty much everything. I got Louisiana I'm going to do next week, and I still have New Jersey and Delaware, and we're going to do that the week after. So we'll get literally all the 49 states. I haven't figured out how to do Hawaii, short of putting the bike on a boat, and I'm not going to do that. So can't afford it, right? These are some of the other stickers. Oh, we aren't going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the bike. So the engine, service-wise, when you get the bike, first oil change is 300 miles. We did that. After that, it's 6,000 miles. You do a valve adjustment or valve check. We did that. Valves are fine. 12,000 miles, 6,000 miles later, we do another valve check. So we're at 12,000 now, and it's just fine. Now, after that, we can go, the intervals go from 6,000 to 12,000. So our next valve check is 12,000 miles. I didn't wait. I bought 5,000 miles later. I think it was 17,000. I checked them again, and the intake valves were just a little tight, just a little bit. So we went ahead and reshimmed the valves, got them all back to normal. And since then, we've done our checks at roughly 12,000, and we have had no issues. Nothing has had to be adjusted. So it's a very rock solid engine. I run this bike hard. The redline I think is 8,000, and it's gone way past redline many times. I'm a little abusive in that sense, I guess, but I do my maintenance religiously. It's a very solid engine. I mean, it's just a very solid engine. Liquid cooled. There's a radiator down there. Interesting thing about the engine, it has 2 drain plugs, and they're right next to each other, so when you drain the oil out of it, you have to pull both plugs out. Other things about the engine is it's very well behaved. It's got a very flat torque curve. It is not really peaky at all. It's got a lot of low end. Some people say, well, it doesn't have the low end of the old 411. I think it does. It works very well. You know, we've done BDRing with this, and I've never, you know, you get in your mind that it feels high geared, but it actually works just fine. It doesn't have any issues at all. Going to suspension, that's my next thing right there. I already talked about the travel. It's got loads of travel. It's got a very good suspension stock. When we picked these bikes up August 23rd, Jeremy and I from Backstrike, we picked up 2 of them. We went, you know, we drove from Utah into Colorado. We got off the bikes, and both of us looked at each other and said, suspension, you know. We were just blown away by how good the suspension is. And, you know, the front is not adjustable, but they've got it tuned just really well. You know, I'm a well over 200-pound man, and it works really well. My good buddy Gary, he has the same on his, and I don't think he's done anything to change the front. He is quite a bit lighter than I am. I think he's done something with the back, though. The back suspension, again, just fabulous. You just love this thing. I think I've got mine on setting 4. Yeah, I'm a little over half on the stiff side, so works pretty darn well, I'd say. Again, back to the suspension. You know, we just went to Alaska and the Arctic Circle, you know, all the way up the Alcan Highway in Canada. I've taken this bike, I've had it in Florida, I rode Route 66 all the way out to California. You know, we just did a whole big ride out to the East Coast. You know, that's where I live right there. We did all of this all the way up to Maine. We just barely touched Maine. We came down this way. Virginia's over here. We went to the Carolinas. Okay, North Carolina, we got on Tail of the Dragon, took it on there. You know, the bike, the suspension would do all of those things. You know, even on, you know, it's just a very pleasing thing. You know, it just works very well. And that, you know, our ride went this way. We went back through Tennessee, Kentucky, into Missouri, where I stayed at Columbia right there. Then we jetted home. So that was 3,700 miles. We did that last week, I think. Really good ride. The trip to Alaska, we started here, buzzed up all over here, all the way up here to here. Got, you know, that's Alaska right there. Tok, that's Tok right there. We went over here to Fairbanks, then we went up here somewhere to where the Arctic Circle is. That's that line right there. So we were this bike has actually been in the Arctic Circle. Now, I wasn't going to talk about the ride that much, was I? Tires are next on the list. So the stock tires, I ran the back tire up to, they're Seats. They were, and it's a very good tire. I actually do like them. And I ran the back one up to 7,600 miles. Then I was going to go on a long 2,000-mile trip, so I went in and changed it. I think I could have got another 2,000 miles out of it. The front Seat I took up to 20,000 miles. And it was a very well-behaved tire. And I thought, boy, this thing is really good. I changed it, and then I realized how wore out the original, you know, the 20,000 mile. I probably shouldn't have gone that long, but we put these Trail Max missions on there. So back to the Seat. The Seat tire, we did, Colorado Mark and I, we bugged around Colorado, and we did a bunch of, you know, baby heads and ledges and stuff like that. We did some passes. I can't think of them right now. I've got pictures on videos I made of it. And the Seats were just fine. We even got some mud. We did some river crossings, and they were adequate. They were adequate. Right now I've got Dunlop Trail Max missions on. I've got this one on the back and this one in the front. We put them on right before Alaska. On the back I had another Dunlop Trail Max mission before I did this, before I put this one on. And I got 20,000 miles out of that tire. I was looking at it the other night. We still have it. I think I could have got another 4,000 or 5,000 on it. It's really, they're really that good of a tire. The tire is a very hard tire. So this one's got 14 or 15,000 on it. See, it still has plenty of tread. There's the wear indicator there. The internet talks about how they're not that good in the rain because they are hard. Now, I've ridden a lot of rain, and I will say they're not as good as some tires, but they're still good. They're not a great rain tire. They're not a bad rain tire. They work pretty darn well. I'm very happy with it. While we're down there, I'll talk about brakes. Before we went to Alaska, we thought about changing the brakes. Well, the front brakes were fine. So we kept them. We didn't even change them. And the back ones, the pads were shot. I tend to hang on the back brake. I used to dirt bike ride, and I grew up in the era where, you know, we had drum brakes, and I lean heavy in the back too much, I'm sure. So the brakes are actually very good on this bike. Absolutely fabulous. The old Royal Enfield Himalayan had good brakes on gravel, but when you got on pavement, you know, you had to really plan your stops. Let's just put it that way. Bugging back over here, gauge, switchgear, we already talked about that, the navigation system. Back to that navigation real quick. One of the neat things, I was using that, I was coming back from Virginia and across the Mississippi, and my fuel light came on. The minute my fuel light came on, the nav, I was actually using it, the nav said nearest gas station, 1 point, blah, blah, blah. Want to navigate there or something like that. Click confirm. I click confirm, it took me right to the gas station. That's a really neat feature. Maintenance, there we go, maintenance. Already talked a little bit about the valve adjustments. Oil changes are also 6,000 miles. Air filter, you should change that or clean that every 6,000 at the very least. I've got a DNA in mine. Coolant, I'm not sure what the rules are on the coolant. We did change the coolant before we went to Alaska. I do know that. So at 40,000 plus miles, we have changed the coolant at least once, and I'm sure we'll be doing that again soon. Other kinds of maintenance things, you know, the standard things, tires and brakes and stuff like that. Back to the chain. This is my fourth chain on this bike. The first chain I got 14,000 out of it. The second chain I got 7,000. It just destroyed itself. I don't know what happened there. The third chain was actually doing just fine, but then we went to Alaska, so we went in and put a brand new set of chain and sprocket on, and I went 14,000 miles on it. We just got back from that trip from the East Coast, and I just now changed it. So this is the fourth chain, I think, right now, the fourth chain on the bike. So, you know, that's a wear item, I guess, not really a maintenance or, you know, concern or anything like that. So what else have we got here? Running up here, Hemi versus Bear, we'll get back to that. Riding off-road, stuff like that. So the riding of the bike, let's start with the seat. This seat is, I've got a seat cover on this one. This is the stock seat. And the vast majority of the time I've used this seat, I had that seat over there on there. That's the Himalayan, the rally seat with the Royal Enfield Himalayan. And I'm actually thinking about putting that back on. I'm about to go over to Louisiana next week. Monday or Tuesday I'm going to go. I'm thinking about putting that seat on just to, you know, enjoy the seat, right? Anyway, but the stock seat, when I went to Alaska, I put this on. When I went to the East Coast, I had this on. And, you know, it's a relatively long seat. It's very wide here. It's very comfortable when you sit back. It's narrow enough back. It's narrow enough when you go forward. Now, the rally seat is narrow all the way through. It's also narrower through here. So when you stand up, there's less interference with your legs. Riding on this bike, I guess that's where we're going with that. Oh, well, let's talk about this thing real quick. Somebody sent me this, and I put that on before we went to the East Coast. It was really hot the first and second day, and that's where this shined. It was very nice because it helped keep me cool. The problem I had the first and second day was it made the seat seem harder. and I was very uncomfortable with that. But by the time the trip is over, I was pretty good with it. I think I've learned to live with it. I'm going to leave it on there until it gets cool, then I'll take that thing off. So there's a seat, there's foot pegs. You can stand up, you can sit down, you can move back and forth, all that neat stuff. You have the rally seat, you can move back farther. The bike's handling is superb. I love it on the interstates. I love it on the back roads. I love it on gravel. I love it in every condition imaginable. You know, we were in Alaska. We took it. We left. I can't think of the city, but we went all the way up the Arctic Circle. And the last 121 miles, the pavement ended. Very twisty pavement ended, and we had 121 miles of nothing but crap road. You know, the haul road they call it. And it was full of potholes, and we were driving too fast, and we were having a lot of fun. And comfortable. I was comfortable. The suspension worked really well. Everything just, it was just dynamite, right? So no, the bike handles very well on that kind of terrain. It also, I did an iron butt on this. That was all on the interstate. I live 7 miles, 7 miles from the interstate. I planned the whole trip around that. And iron butt, you know, full day, 16 hours and 1 minute I think it took. It worked very well. I can ride this seat, and I have many miles. I think coming back from Alaska, I had an 850 mile day. I think that was that started in Oregon, Idaho, Utah, and into Wyoming. And I was just very happy with the bike. But when I ran out of light, it kept, you know, I'd rode longer. So very happy with it. Let's see what else I got there. Let's go to problems then. Let's talk about the problems. I have had some problems, haven't I? I've talked about them before. I almost hate to mention them because they were so trivial. When I was in Alaska, I put the bike on the center stand, the back tire was on the ground. And, you know, I just thought it was uneven earth or whatever. And went to do it one day, and the side stand was kind of crooked. And looked underneath there, and one of the pins, there's 2 pins that hold the side stand in place. One of them had fallen out. So there's a cotter key. The cotter key must have escaped. The pin fell out. I've got it fixed now. I put a bolt in there. We've ordered a new pin. And that's one of the problems. The other one would be... my headlight was a little loose. I had a burned out headlight. I replaced that. So I put a new one in. I put it in. And Baxter's offered to do it. I did it myself. And it's just a little loose. So I don't know what to do about that. I thought about, well, anyway, enough about that. The other issue was there are little grommets in here that hold this to the motorcycle. And those grommets have kind of gotten weak, you know, and we've got new ones ordered for that. So if you go to a new one and shake it like that, you don't get that kind of movement. On this one you do. And then, like I said, we've got new rubbers coming for it. So other things I've got going for this, I bought a thing to hold my nav system. I want that up here. I bought a bracket. Let's see where that is. I got that at Baxter Cycle right there. I don't know what brand that is. GV it says. And the last thing on my problem list is chain, and we already talked about that. That's not really a problem. It's just a maintenance issue. So as far as add-ons that I put on this bike that make this a complete motorcycle, I will start with, you got to have a good windshield. I've had 3 different ones on this bike. When they gave it to me, I had a short, you know, the touring windshield by Royal Enfield. That was okay, no big deal. I got myself a WRS, which came to about here. I liked that windshield a lot. It did really well. My helmet was out in the open air. But when we went to Alaska, Baxter Cycle put this one on, which is very tall. It's a GV, and I'm very happy they did that. It kept, you know, keeps the bugs off you more, keeps your shoulders out of the wind, and when it rains, it offers excellent protection. That so far has been my favorite windshield. My second favorite being the WRS that I had on there. I had a WRS tall windshield to make it a short and a tall, and you get those at Baxter Cycle. These mirrors are another thing. Colorado Mark lent me his motorcycle one day, and he had these mirrors on there. I rode the bike, I don't know how many miles, 10 or 20 or 30 miles, something like that, and I just fell in love with them. Went home and ordered a pair of these. These are double takes. I think that's what they are. Yeah, double takes. Now, I did not know that Baxter Cycle sold ram mirrors, which are about the same thing. The rams they're flat here and here, so they don't shrink down. And I wonder if that wouldn't have been a better choice. You know, these are working great. I love them. They vibrate less. They're very adjustable. You don't have to use tools to adjust them. You can just do this. And I'm very happy with these. I think the rams would have been a very good choice also. Something else I really like, this is a tire gauge. This one actually just failed, so I got a new one coming in the mail. And that lets me know my tire pressure while I'm running down the road. I check my tire pressure on all my motorcycles every day before I ride them. You know, if I'm going to ride it that day, I check it. So that's very nice to have right there. Back here, the box. This is kind of a weird one. Some people don't like the way the box looks, but I got to tell you, it's super handy. It's just super handy. I love it because I can use it like a glove compartment in a car, or you know, the thing between the seats in the car. I can put stuff in there and get to it easily. I can You know, I try to keep, I'll keep a couple bottles of water in there. Right now I've got a rain jacket in there. I'll keep like snacks in there. You know, it's not sold as a waterproof box, but it's never leaked, and I've ran miles of rain. You know, it's just a good solid, it's aluminum, it's lockable. So when I go in somewhere, I can put my electronics in there and lock it, and that way they have to steal the whole bike or the whole box, right? And of course, as you can see, it's an excellent place for stickers, you know. Pig Trail, Canada, 3D Cycle Parts, you know. The Wahoo sticker, Tail of the Dragon, you know. Sina Magwitz Foundation, Viridian Cruise, we got to talk about that. Dawson City, Chicken, Alaska, Yukon, Arctic Circle, all the states I've been to so far. The next one that you really have to have if you buy one of these bikes would be this cruise control. That's a Viridian cruise control. It is a fabulous, it's just get one. If you buy the bike, have them put it on before you even get the bike. It's just that, it really is that good. It really makes that much of a difference. You know, well, what do you need a cruise control for? Well, get one and you'll find out. I just think, and this Viridian Cruise works fabulously. It's always on when the bike's on. This is how you set it. This is speed up or resume. If you've hit your brakes or something, you need to resume, you just hit the top button. This is a stop. That'll disengage it. It'll also disengage when you touch the clutch, either one of the brakes, or if you try to shift without the clutch, it'll also disengage at that point. Very good add. Next thing would be hand guards. I got asked the other day, do they really make that much difference? Yes, they do. They make a lot of difference. These are Bark Busters Storms. I got these. Notice how they're black here? That's a powder coated thing. I got that from 3D Cycle Parts. They're the only one I know that makes them like that. Maybe somebody else does, but they definitely make them like that. And I was very happy with that. I got them in the mail right away, and they took me about an hour to put on. But no, hand guards are a big deal. So, you know, you're in cold weather, it blocks the wind, and it creates a little wind baffle for you there. Works very well. I like it a lot. So the mirrors, this is a really good deal. Tire pressure thing, of course, the windshield. Those are all things I would say you really must have. The cruise control, of course. These bags, or bags on up here, put if you have a bike, like even if you don't get these bags, I really like these bags, get the bags in the front, especially if you're going to drive in rain or bad weather, because it blocks the wind from your knees. It blocks the rain from the top of your legs. They just really work really well. And I think in this one I've got my battery pack, and I've got a can of chain lube in there right now. On the other side I've got a tire repair kit. I think I've got helmet cleaner and stuff like that in there. Haven't looked in there in a while. I haven't had to. Air compressor. Got an air compressor in there too. Other add-ons that you should probably have is a tank bag. I love my tank bag. This is a Tusk tank bag. I got this from Mark at Baxter Cycle. He got it from Tony, our good buddy Tony. Put it on there temporarily, and I've just used it ever since. You want to fuel up, you just pop it loose, slide it down. Works great. The running back here, I've got these straps. These are, I think they're rock straps, and first that I've ever had. I love them. I use them to tie down. That's my Rhino Walk bag. That's what I used on my trip to the East Coast. Waterproof bag, 45 liter. I had it about half full. That's what I used on my that's what I used to tie that down. I also, you know, if I have a jacket or something I want to tie down, I'll just put that on top of that. The other, when I went to Alaska, the bags that I had here were these Rhino Walk bags here. Let's see, they're very dirty, of course. And these are the large or the medium sized ones, the large, you know, the center size one they make medium, large, and extra large. These are the large. They're tough, durable, waterproof. They work really well. They went on and off the bike very easily. The last thing as far as bag goes, and actually I should have mentioned this in the must-do category, put your toolkit down here. This is a Colorado Mark idea. This is a Tusk bag. It's a handlebar bag. I don't know the model number. They were about 40 bucks. And I put my toolkit in there. So you're riding the bike, and you need to do something, like a mirror comes loose, or, well, not these mirrors, but something comes loose. You need to do something quickly. You don't have to take the luggage off. You don't have to pop the seat off. You just walk back here, unzip, and there's your toolkit. Makes it very handy. You need to adjust your chain or do anything like that. You know, it's incredibly accessible. The more accessible the kit is, the more likely you are to do maintenance right away when it needs to be done, because it's so simple to do. Otherwise, you might say, well, I'll do it when I get home. You know, keep yourself safer, keep things working better. I love the tires too. That's probably a must-add. Boy, I'm just adding on to the must-have ads, huh? Had this bike, like I said, went to the Arctic Circle, did the Alpine Highway. You know, it's done Alaska, parts of Alaska. We're going to go back to Alaska next year. If y'all are interested in next year's Alaska trip, start contacting me now. I'm trying to do some rough planning right now. I had a meeting with a fellow the other day. We're trying to get an idea on how to do it. We're thinking about going up through Washington State, maybe taking the boat, the intercoastal system or something like that. There's different ideas. We want to hear your ideas, and we'd love to have you go along or at least help us plan our trip. That's really a big deal to me. It helped a lot, brain sourcing, using your brain to get my stuff done. What else can I tell you about this hot rod? I can tell you that I love this bike. I absolutely love this bike. Oh yeah, I got a bigger foot on the side stand too. That helps a lot. I love this bike a lot, and it's just, I've owned a lot of motorcycles in my day, and of all the bikes I've ever owned, this has been my absolute favorite motorcycle. Its name is Nomad. It just does, I can ride it around town. I can go get groceries with it. I can drive across the country with it. I can take the Alcan. I can go to the Arctic Circle. Like I said, I've done. It's just been a great bike. It all started with that Himalayan over yonder. And the crazy thing about these Himalayans, when Baxter asked me to ride that bike, initially I wouldn't ride it because it only had 24 horsepower. Why would I do it? And they basically insisted one day, and I put about 180 miles on it. And by 100 miles, I was totally hooked on that bike. Matter of fact, I stayed away from Baxter's for a whole month because I did not want to impulse buy the bike. I went there a month. It was a month and 3 days, I think. Went there and I said, if you have a red and black one, I'll buy it. And they said, we don't have a red and black one. I said, crap. And they said, we'll have it tomorrow. And so I bought it, and I've never regretted that. That bike has been fabulous. This bike's fabulous plus. It's just a fabulous machine. It's been I call it my best friend. Like I said, I just absolutely love this motorcycle. Dead reliable. Does everything I want. And by the way, over 40,000. It's not, I haven't had it a year yet. I have not had this motorcycle a year yet. I'm bragging, aren't I? Now, if y'all are interested in a motorcycle like this, a new or used Royal Enfield Triumph classic British bike of any type, need parts, accessories, thingamajigs, doodads, any of the stuff I've shown you, or most any of the stuff I've shown you on this bike, need helmets, gears, jackets, socks, underwear, anything at all. Get yourself over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty metropolis of Marnie. They're having Baxter Cycle weekends. I think it's the 15th and 16th of August this year, 2025. Get to that. I'll be there. I'll try to be there. I will be there. Get over there and see what they can do for you. Go to baxtercycle.com. Tell those fine folks at Fuzzy Biker from Fuzzy Biker Garage sent you. Life is good. Hit like and subscribe. Get out of the, get off that couch. Get out of the easy chair. Get out there and ride a motorcycle. Get outside and enjoy the day. Life is good. Wahoo! Howdy, y'all. Fuzzy Biker here at Royal Enfield of Bennington County, Vermont. Wahoo!
Wahoo!
Wahoo, Alaska!
You're gonna be good. Keep the grease side down.
Thank you.